Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this very last day of the EU Sustainable Energy Week 2021. My name is Ana Gumbau. I'm a climate journalist here in Brussels, and I'll be your host for this morning's last session of the EUSEW 2021. It's incredible how these past days have just flown by. We've had some very few days of really interesting discussions, high-level events, great speakers and parallel sessions, and also a lot of inspiration from our award ceremony back in Monday. We have discussed and really made plans to take action on renewable energy sources and energy efficiency, two of the pillars that should take us to achieve our 55% emission reductions goal by 2030. I hope you have been enjoying these days at EUSEW as much as we have over here, and that you got the chance to learn new things, to discover new interesting topics, and to connect with one another. Because as you know, all registered participants at EUSEW can in the online platform connect with each other and continue discussing ideas and taking what we have discussed in the past few days further on. So you can still do so today in this very last day of the EU Sustainable Energy Week 2021. Today is also a very special day here because it's also the European Youth Energy Day. Today we are celebrating youth participation in the energy transition because young people have some unique ideas, points of view and initiatives to share with all of us. And we need to make sure that these voices are heard. If you were with us on Monday, you know that we launched our European Youth Energy Hackathon. For the past 48 hours, we had 7 teams working on communication projects scattered all across Europe, working together with some experienced and really knowledgeable mentors. The objective of this hackathon was to deliver solutions to communicate the energy transition and was hosted by the European Commission together with the European Youth Energy Network. Now these 48 hours are now over, and the hackathon participants delivered yesterday the final projects, which we will be getting to know very shortly because they will be pitching them to us here at EUSEW. In this morning's session, we will first have a short conversation with the mentors and with the expert jury and get to know them. We will proceed then to listen to each one of the pitches, and afterwards our jury will move to deliberate. But we will also have a really interesting debate here on stage at EUSEW 2021 because we will have 2 of the finalists of the EUSEW Awards for the Youth Energy Trailblazer category that were awarded back in Monday to speak about youth participation and the energy transition. And finally, we will know who the 3 winners of the hackathon are. We will have the Energy Commissioner, Simpson, with us, who will announce and congratulate the winners. So without further ado, let's discuss a little bit and find out more how these 48 hours went with our mentors. I believe we have with us Stamatis, Robert and Fons, who were 3 of the mentors that join us for the Communications Hackathon. So welcome to all of you. Good morning. Would you like to share some of the... Hi, would you like to share some of the first impressions with us? Who would like to start?
I can kick off. Yes, I mean, just to say that on behalf of DG Energy, where I'm working, it's been a great pleasure to be involved in this hackathon. It's been very interesting to see all these teams hard at work in trying to tackle the challenge that we've set them. I have to say that over the past days, when we have interacted with the teams, we've seen, I think, a very good evolution from what were very good ideas to start with, but towards what is now, hopefully now, a well-defined communication strategy. And I'm very keen to see the pitches and to see what the teams have finally come up with. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if I may follow up on that. So my name is Franz Johnson. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm actively here locally with my energy community. And I find this really special that I could be a mentor for all these groups because we use these digital tools with European citizens and citizens non-European, but they work and study here in Europe to really think about our big social challenges because many of these technologies, communication technologies are already existing, but it's really about the social innovation. How are we using that and how can we also implement that across multiple locations in Europe? And this hackathon really inspired me also about how could we really unleash the potential of our generation using the digital tools. And I was really happy as a mentor to see, for instance, how a Latvian person in Eindhoven could communicate with another person in Greece and one person in Brussels. And that really showed the power of how the European Union is connecting our generation to accelerate the energy transition.
Stamatis, what would you like to add?
Good morning. On behalf of the European Climate, Infrastructure and Environment Executive Agency mentors, Céline Tougeron and myself, it has been a great to exchange with the various teams of young people from around the EU. On the one hand, seeing their awareness around reducing our energy consumption, energy efficiency and related challenges, as well as their creativity and diversity of approaches to engaging effectively with European on these issues, ultimately working towards meeting our energy and climate goals. Also, the experience as a mentor has been stimulating. Maybe as a final point to all the participants in the hackathon, keep working on these important issues, putting forward your ideas and talking about them with your friends and family, as the younger generation is crucial to addressing these. And thank you for having participated in the hackathon. I wish best of luck to all the teams.
Thank you very much, Robert, Stamatis, and Fons for joining us today early in the morning and letting us know a little bit how these 48 hours here at the hackathon went. Now I'm delighted to introduce our expert jury that will listen to the pitches of the 7 teams and let us know a little bit about their work and what they're looking for in these projects. They have already been following their work in the hackathon and will deliberate and decide who the 3 winners are going to be. And I'm sure this is not going to be an easy task for them because all the projects have been really top quality. Now, before introducing them, let me remind you what the awards are going to be, because there's going to be 3 winners, first prize, a second and a third one. And the 3 projects will be getting some project money to be spent on training and materials. The winner will win 2,000 euro, the second place will get 1,000 euro, and the third place we're going to get 500 euro. They will also be able to get mentorship from the European Youth Energy Network, and they will be able to participate at the European Sustainable Energy Week 2022. They will be able to participate in a dialogue with EU Commissioner for Energy, Kadri Simpson, and one of the members will be able to participate with all accommodation and travel expenses provided to project their project in a communication session. So without further ado, let's have our jury members here. We have at the studio 2 of our jury members. So first of all, the chair of the jury, Pierre Skellikens, and also Federico Barbieri is here with us. And joining us online are Ugo Espinosa, Agnieszka Romanovic, and Stefan Roth. Thank you all for joining us today. You could tell us a few words about all of you so that the participants can get to know you.
With pleasure. My name is Pierre Skellikens, as you said, Anna. I work in the Director General of the European Commission that is responsible for energy. And in that DG, I'm the head of the External Communication Unit. Very nice to be here today, and also very nice, of course, to have been able to look at the projects, get a first taste of them. We will then deliberate. I too used to be young once, and it's always interesting to see, on one hand, how the topics are approached in a different way, but also, of course, the tools and the instruments for communication. So very much look forward to this.
Thank you very much, Pierre. Federico, if you would like to briefly introduce yourself as well.
Thank you for having me here. My name is Federico. I'm from Italy. I'm the president of the European Youth Energy Network. It's a pleasure for me to be part of the jury, and I would really like to thank everyone for involving young people from the beginning to the end of this for the first ever Youth Energy Hackathon. I think we are all curious to see all the projects, and all the mentors, all the jury members have followed all the projects very closely. They've given feedback, and so I think everyone attending from home and is curious to see what the projects are going to be. And for the project, we are going to have 3 winners, but I believe that all the projects have a big potential to have a real impact on society. So if you're not the third, first, second, or the first, really don't hesitate to continue with your efforts and really try to reach citizens and convince them to pursue the energy transition.
Thank you very much, Federico. If we could turn now to our online jury, maybe we could start with Agnieszka saying a few words.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Agnieszka Romanovic. I'm working at the SINA agency, and I'm very happy to be a jury member for this hackathon. What was really striking during the past 48 hours was the change, how some of the projects have really developed. Together with the mentors, we could see how the participants have put forward the ideas and changed them to really fit for the things which are happening on the ground. So it's really nice to see how the ideas have developed, and I'm really looking forward to the pitches which we will hear very soon. Back to you in studio.
Thank you very much, Agnieszka. Ugo, are you with us as well?
Yeah, hi there.
Hi, Hugo.
I'm Hugo Espinosa. I'm the founder and let's say a hackathon expert from Creative District, part of the team that has been coordinating this event as well. I've been very happy following behind all of the process of this event. I think this has been going great. The quality of the milestones have been very high. And I think there's a lot of material to select the top 3 teams. So looking forward to the deliberation and to present the 3 winners.
Thanks a lot, Hugo, for being with us. And last but not least, I would like to turn to Stefan, our other representative from the European Commission here at the expert jury. Stefan, how are you doing?
Hello, fine, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Yes, I've been working for the Commission for 20 years, mainly in communication, and now I work in Directorate General for Energy, where I notably coordinate the implementation of communication and outreach plans. I would like to, first of all, to congratulate all the 7 teams for their efforts during the last 48 hours, and also to say thank you to the mentors and to their support during this work with the teams, because we have really seen evolution of the ideas and of the projects. I was looking mainly for projects with local dimension and also with a potential to engage more with different target audiences, and several of the projects present such objectives. So good luck to everybody. And anyway, as it has already been said, I think that the 7 projects have potential. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stefan, and thank you to all the expert jury for having joined us. And we wish you a very good deliberation. Probably it's going to be very intense and really difficult to pick the winner. So best of luck. And now the moment of truth has arrived for the 7 teams, because now they will be presenting all of their pitches, like all of the different projects that they have been working on in the last 48 hours. And that will be one of those, I believe, defining moments for the jury, like getting to know exactly their projects and how they are going to be selling them. So I would like to invite each one of the teams to present their projects. They have up to 3 minutes to present them, and I will be keeping the time. So if you see me, it means that you will need to wrap up. So I wish you all the best. So let's start with the first team. I have the Eco Warriors with me with the My Eco Diary project. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, jury.
Please, whenever you want, you can present your pitch. Thanks a lot.
Okay, I just want to confirm if you hear any noise behind my background, no?
It's all great, it's all great. Yeah, okay, I can hear you well.
I can start, definitely, so. So, up to 2 million people may be displaced in 2050 due to climate change, but can you all guess what is the main contributor to this? Clicks, please. Well, not surprisingly, it's due to human activity, so which means our daily activity does matter. Next slide, please. So we invited 30 EU residents on a survey to understand how they actually get the information regarding to sustainability and environmental issues. And surprisingly, we got to know that social media is the most active activity in their daily life. And their source of activity is actually, clicks please. Also from social media itself, where they actually follow the climate activists or a specific page on Facebook. Clicks please. So our idea here is actually to combine a social media and this information together on a communicative platforms. It's going to be the first digital daily platforms to engage, sharing, reading, get motivated, and inspire other people as well. Next slide, please. So here's the main, our ugly prototype. As you can see, we have a lot of functions, but the main thing here is the top story of the day, where users share their own story, and we have the algorithm behind the platforms where it's actually the text, the photo, the videos, the text from the users to show that whether this action can actually contribute to the climate and environmental, where it's calculate automatically the carbon footprint, as you can see in the green bottom there, how much the amount of carbon footprint can reduce from this activity. And we give them the credits, as you can see, the colorful cycle. This credit can actually use in the future in shopping to get discount from sustainable shop with our sustainable partner. Next slide, please. And our business plan here is really simple. Once imagined in between 1 year, we have 10,000 users. We will have the sustainable demographic where we can know the most and least regions which is sustainable or more sustainable, least sustainable. And the second thing is the partnership with sustainable branding, only with sustainable productions that actually eco-friendly. And then because of this, we can give the discounts to the young student and there with our digital card in the middle here. You can see the QR code. And because of this, we can actually track down the usage behavior of the product life cycle of the user on sustainable productions. Next slide, please. So how to start? We actually have our 30 eco warriors. That is actually our 30 participants, and we want to start in Freiburg with this amount of money, so blah blah blah. And we are planning to actually collaborate with other climate mobile apps. That is, for example, a bike app and climate. And we want to contribute in 2030 at least 10% of the carbon footprints, and then we want to give the eco diaries identity started from the hackathon this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the Eco Warriors for joining us today and for having presented their pitch. Now I'm turning to the next team. We have Enerlog with us with the project Fostering Dialogues on Energy Transition. Thank you very much for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please, whenever you want.
Okay. So, hello. My name is Gentare, and together with Stelios and Angela, we represent Team Enerlog. And to begin with, I have a question for you. Think about your region. Is 2.8 megawatts wind park is enough, or do you need free wind farms? And what about fixed feed-in tariffs? Would you be willing to join this kind of discussion? I guess if you're not expert in this sector or really care about sustainability issue, you would perhaps not be willing to join. We need to simplify the dialogue between citizens and policymakers. Next slide. Because if people do not understand the issue, they are not willing to join, and if they don't see the need and the impact of change, they simply resist the change. And that's what's happening in Greece, in central Greece, and I imagine all around Europe, when people are resisting renewable energy projects. We need to ensure that citizens would be engaged in a dialogue with policymakers that is understandable to everyone. Next slide. And how to achieve this? With our team, we developed 3 steps. So first of all, developing a digital platform providing database information for citizens to make these kind of decisions. And in addition to that, provide space to not only express their concerns, but also receive feedback and answers to these concerns. Second of all, technology is not enough. We need to bring social dimension. That's why we are concentrating on training policymakers to give knowledge on how to engage citizens, on how to build trust, and how to communicate the impact of the change. And lastly, majority understands the need of green energy, but minority is joining this kind of dialogues. That is why we are proposing promotional campaigns in all public spaces to put efforts and bring various people to join these discussions. Not only those who are really for these kind of projects, and not only those who resist the projects, but diverse groups, and especially vulnerable groups. So we would also provide assistance to those who have lesser digital skills. So we believe that showing value of participating in these kind of dialogues, providing tools to understand information and exchange information in two-way dialogue, in addition to providing capacity building for policymakers, will help us to achieve dialogues and create green future together. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much to Enerlog for presenting their project, Fostering Dialogues on Energy Transition. Now I'd like to turn to the next team, which is the Grid Society with the project Social Grids. Good morning. Thanks all for joining.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Whenever you want. Good luck.
Thank you. So, hi, I'm Yanis. I'm a member of Social Grids. An interesting fact actually about me is that I come from a Greek island So talking about like interesting facts, did you know that 61 Greek islands are not connected to the mainland grid? Did you know that all these islands have huge potential on renewables? So why the energy profile of these islands is still based mostly on diesel generators and not on renewable sources? We, social grids, believe that this is due to the lack of awareness in local communities, and therefore we have created a special solution for this. Next slide, please. Thank you. We introduce you to our concept of triple engagement. We make community, companies, and working population interact by developing energy projects. So what are we offering? We're offering strong community engagement in order to tackle the naiveness of the local communities by organizing local events and also by storytelling through our website and through our actions. We offer engagement of working population in order to tackle the lack of opportunities in climate change mitigation by motivating them to participate in the above mentioned events. And finally, we offer financing through CSR funds for better traceability of CSR funds and also improvement of companies' public image. And we as Grid Society, we believe that the achievement of these three goals will lead to the successful implementation of our own energy projects, and therefore will lead to sustainable energy transition. We mainly believe that, next slide, please. We believe that the most important thing is that to make local communities understand that climate crisis is an existential crisis, is an existential issue, and therefore we believe that the minute we become an integrated whole, we look through the same eyes, and therefore we look the world in a different way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the Grid Society and the Social Grids project that they have just introduced. Now I'd like to move to the next project in this morning. It's by Indonel, and the project is called Beehive. So good morning, thanks a lot for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, everyone, and thank you. Hopefully you can hear me well. I'm here today together with my team to present you Beehive and especially shake everyone's boring idea of energy efficiency. So Beehive is an app that gives you points for everyday impactful actions that you do on your day-to-day basis. And this way you can become more sustainable and at the same time get rewarded. In the next slide. So what brought us here? Well, we've been working on this field for some time now, and we have noticed that the energy efficiency is not a really sexy topic. It's not really interesting for regular people. So we think that a twist on this concept, on how this concept is understood, needs to be made. And we want to do that by making everyone understand that energy efficiency can actually be within lots of daily activities that every one of us do. So when doing such actions, the citizens can let the app know and get rewards in return. And we'll see how this works a bit later. So with this, our main objectives are to reduce the CO2 footprint and increase the energy efficiency of citizens. And that's why we want to collaborate, first of all, with municipalities, as they will also benefit from the shift to a more sustainable lifestyle of their citizens. So they will be a key partner in the first phase, providing the action points, so how and where the citizens can do something, and also the rewards. Next slide. And to whom were we thinking about when we came up with this idea? So we were thinking about people on their 30s and 40s of all genders, with interests in sustainability and health. And these are citizens that are starting to be more concerned about climate change and want to be more greener, let's say. So we have decided to kick off in Granollers, a city near Barcelona that has strong environmental awareness and digital skills, and has plenty of services that can be added to this action list. We're going to see in the next slide how it actually works. So first of all, and to make this idea possible, it is essential to find key partners and channels to reach these targeted users and to provide quality service. So these important partners, as we said before, will be first municipalities themselves. They will offer both the action list and the rewards themselves. So that could go from free items like maybe a free transport ticket or discounts or on reductions on taxes, for example, on waste. So after this first phase, we want to take on board also other partners like local private shops, social and network influencers, second-hand platforms, or educational institutions that will play the same role as municipalities. So when it comes to the app, you start by creating yourself a profile and checking the B action list to see where and what can you do to make your day-to-day actions more impactful. The different actions are listed and have been assigned to a value of points that are called paradise points, depending on the impact that they have. Once you have gathered enough points, you can start redeeming these and getting these free items or discounts in the city. Next slide. So here in this slide, you can actually see how it looks in the app, and you can see what are the specific B actions that you can find in Beehive. So as an add-on feature, you can also gain points by bringing a friend to the community. So this is Beehive in a nutshell. Thank you everyone for listening and for your time.
Thank you very much, Innonel, for presenting their project. Now I'm turning to the next team. It's OLI Share Energy with the project's Sustainable Energy Community Model. Good morning.
Thank you so much for having me here, Sarah. Thank you so much to everyone who helped us become a part of this sort of 48 hours. We learned a lot. And on the behalf of my team, Team OLI Share Energy, I'd like to present to you what we consider a Sustainable Energy Community Model, basically 2.0. So now we go to the next slide where we see why we want to do this. So these two pictures tell quite a story, don't they? So in 2017, the EU was responsible for almost 16% of deforestation associated with almost all international trade. That's around 120 million tons of carbon dioxide that cannot be captured or that could not be captured. The picture on the left is also showing, why this is happening. This is basically most of the land is being taken up by these natural gas and coal power plants. What we want to do is we want to change the fundamental behavior of the end user by communicating facts about awareness and keeping each citizen of the EU invested at the same time into this energy transition that we're talking about. But the problem is citizens don't tend to realize this, and even if they do realize this, it's very hard for them to change. So what we decided to do was we decided to target this fear and ignorance and turn it into awareness. So how we see this, how are we going to do this? We're going to see in this next slide right now. So what we do is we want to target rural farm owners or poultry farm owners living in the sunny regions of the EU, just for a fact, 1% of this land, just 1% of this land can convert, if converted to renewable energy sources, can potentially power the whole of the EU. So we have to target these sort of rural farm owners who have large areas and have this potential of investing or installing solar onto this area. This model can also be used as a leasing model. And basically, we want to build networks of social relationships from these rural landowners to the nearby communities, which could be leveraged to stimulate them to adopt these cleaner technologies. Word of mouth is always playing a huge role in this. So we use coaching and workshops to use focus groups to involve these members into this. With a timeline of around 2 to 3 years from project start to finish, we hope to make the end user realize at the end of the first year his awareness on the energy efficiency and CO2, and also later, while scaling up, creating a group of energy communities which harmoniously participate with each other. But the end user also wants motivation in terms of profitability and unique capabilities of the community. So how are we doing this? We're going to see this in the next slide. So this is basically our sustainable energy community model. Our core 2 points of this model is, one, we have fractional asset ownership rather than entire asset ownership. So even the poorest of the poor, the people who lack financial motivation, can pay something as less as 10 or 100 euros and own their own part of the renewable energy asset. This makes them more invested into the model, and we create what is known as nearly a self-sufficient ecosystem. How we do this? We do this by making energy smarter. So we have various sort of initiatives such as doing sector coupling, including smart bidirectional EV charging solutions and peer-to-peer energy trading. One of the key points or the bonus points of our model is that we use distributed ledger technology and the blockchain, where we have these asset ownership details uploaded onto the blockchain for transparency and visibility. In today's digital world, this is very, very relevant. We also promote other activities such as grid balance and demand-side flexibility. So through our user interface, the community also has awareness on the renewable energy usage and their carbon impact. By creating nearly a self-sustaining circular local energy economy, we encourage the citizen to be in the heart of the energy transition and promote the cause of energy sustainability. Thank you so much for all of us who encouraged us to be to sort of think out of the box, and we hope that you all have a nice day ahead. Thank you.
Very much. Oil I share energy. Now we're moving to the next project. We only have 2 to go, and this time we have the Squid Gang, and they're going to present their project Carbon Squeeze. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready now, so we can start now. Hello and welcome to Team Squid Game. Next slide, please. We are here today to present a solution that ensures an environment worth living for the next generations. Our target country is the largest economy in Europe, Germany. Germany has pledged 65% of its present emissions reduction by 2030. However, as things stand, they're only on track to reduce 49% of current emissions by 2030 and 67% by 2040, even though 74% of people think that individuals bear responsibility in climate change, and only 15% are already actively doing so. So we've come up with a solution for companies to push Germany over the line by 2030 to keep its promise. Next slide, please. The idea is simple. Participating employees of a company uses his or her employee card to get to his meals, take coffee at the office cafeteria, park his personal vehicle at the parking lot, use an elevator to get to their floor. This information is then sent to an algorithm that calculates CO2 emissions of each of these activities in terms of the food they ate, the length of their commute, and the emissions related to the other equipment that they used, such as the elevators. And these results and then sent to the individuals via an app. Next slide, please. The app enables employees to live a low carbon lifestyle. The emissions are tracked during the day. This enables behavioral changes such as choice of commute to work, electrical appliances used, and the diet consumed. As rewards and behavioral reinforcements, employees are given coupons, discounts, and year-end rewards that makes their life easier. And the employers get carbon credits in return. Next slide, please. We can identify company owners and employees as the main internal stakeholders, while external stakeholders vary from investors to local communities. Next slide, please. The participation, CO2 offset, and economic benefits are the 3 factors that determine the success of this project. Assuming that 5,000 employees participate from a company and we manage to reduce 20% per capita carbon footprint, it means that we offset 10,000 tons of CO2 per year, and valuing 124,000 euros per year if a carbon credit is valued at 15.5 euros per ton. Next slide, please. Our marketing strategy will include social media platforms, community
Gang,
networks.
please, your time is up. So if you could please start wrapping up.
Yeah. And next slide, please. The first investment is going towards development, and after 6 months, we will need fundings for scaling up. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much to the Squid Gang for presenting their Carbon Squeeze project. Now we're turning to the very last of the projects to be presented, and I'm very glad to introduce to the team Therondia with their project VIRBE Sustainability Warriors. Good morning.
Hello, good morning to all.
Ready to kick off?
And I hope, yeah, everyone can hear me properly. Yeah. So, do you know that 10 kilometers of cycling can save 1 liter of the gasoline? And if everyone makes this a habit, how much is going to make the change? So next slide, please. Yeah, like people wanted to contribute to the climate change by their own actions, but they kind of feel a bit lost because they don't know how much real impact they are making, or they kind of feel alone when they are starts to make. So now we are presenting them a strategy in which they can just communicate with the individuals and analyze with the similar minded people and analyze the impact of their own actions, because we believe when small change is taken by a large population, it gives you a big leap towards the sustainability. So moving next. Now I present you the Verb App. So it's a mobile gaming app that will give you the chance to inculcate the sustainable habits by having the daily challenges and simultaneously giving you the chance to develop your own virtual sustainable city. Moving next. Yeah. So this app is initially designed for the youth and the early people aging in between 15 to 28 years, because these are the most energetic people and who wants to contribute most towards the sustainable change. And we got the same result from the survey conducted by the team, as well as the recent survey conducted by the UNDP about the climate change. And we are going for the Stockholm as the initial location because Stockholm has a rich history of supporting the sustainable habits, and they have a very big international community, so they would be same in terms of the language. Moving next. What makes our app different? So we would be giving you the daily eco tips in terms of the energy saving, water saving, recycling, transportation, and we would have the monthly and the weekly challenges. This app would also give you the opportunity to interact virtually among the peers, and as well as having the timely meetup physically with them to exchange the ideas about the sustainability. We would be partnering with the local bodies like the Too Good To Go app and the Vanilla Beam, who are already working towards the sustainability in the different dimension or the different aspects to make a big ecosystem. Moving next. So for the implementation, we have initially decided for the first 24 weeks. For the first 10 week, it would be more about the researching of the app, and the next 10 week would be designing and the prototyping. Following the launch at the 20th week, and after the launch, the marketing and the post-launch support would help in improvising the app according to the need of the customers. So moving next. So how are we going to reach more? So initially we are planning to launch it among the gamers and the social media community like Twitch and the Discord, and later on we would be extending our reach through the webinars, university events, and the special events like the Environmental Day, Earth Day, etc. And we would be having the collaboration with the local bodies and tech municipalities and the local NGOs who are working already for the sustainability. Moving next. So for the individuals, their success would be measured in terms of their own carbon equivalence tracker, and for the community, it would be the Fit for 55 tracker. And for the future plan, we are planning to extend it for the EU and globally. And thank you.
Thank you very much to the Team Therondi and to the 7 teams for having presented their projects, this hard work over the past 48 hours. Before I invite the jury to deliberate, we have them quickly with us to maybe exchange some first impressions. What were your first impressions from these projects and these presentations?
Well, I think all the teams tackle both social and technical aspects, and we saw a really different ideas, and which cover from regional to European level. And I think I'm excited to evaluate them with the jury, and to see who's going to win.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult job distinguishing the different competitors, the participating teams. I'm very impressed by the quality of the presentation, of all the presentations, which I think 3 minutes is not a long time to explain a project and to make it clear to people. And I think the team succeeded in giving us a very good picture in this very short time. And now indeed it's going to be a close call between the different teams.
Could you tell us a little bit about what the main criteria are going to be that you're going to be evaluating those projects?
Well, of course, it's the main topic, of course, is how to contribute to a climate neutral Europe, and how we see that the different projects are contributing to this aim. And And then there are criteria such as, is it how realistic is the project? How efficient?
How scalable it is.
How scalable, indeed. What will the impact be? And that's the issue of scale, as you say, Federico. So these are the criteria that we'll be looking at now that when we discuss together and with the different jury members that are online.
Excellent. So we will have you back in just about 45 minutes with us to hand over the three winning teams. So we wish you good luck with the deliberations. We're sure it's going to be like a tough one. So yes, I mean, now we're going to have to see from 11 who the three winners are going to be. So we have seen different projects aiming for increasing awareness on energy efficiency, on renewable energies, and how to reduce our carbon footprint, and also how to be building these partnerships, bridging these dialogues. So before we find out about the final winners, we will still be talking about youth participation and empowerment in the energy transition. Today, I mean, it's far from over, and I'm delighted to bring back today here on our virtual stage two of the finalists of one of our flagship projects here at the EU Sustainable Energy Week, which is the EUSEW Awards 2021, and more specifically on the category of the Youth Energy Trailblazer. So we have with us today two of the finalists that have gotten into the final of the awards for the Youth Energy Trailblazer. I'm delighted to have with us, first of all, Merve Günger. Good morning. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me here.
And it's also great to be having with us also Philip Koprocina, who was in fact the winner of the Youth Energy Trailblazer Award. So thank you very much, Philip, for joining us, and congratulations.
Thank you again, and thank you for the invite as well.
Thanks a lot for being with us. We had a third finalist at the EUSEW Awards 2021 for the Youth Energy Trailblazer category, who was Daniele Novara. He sadly couldn't be with us today, but we will also be able to get to know his project a little bit very, very shortly. First of all, I would like to introduce you to our Slido platform, because today we will be able to ask questions to the two finalists of the EUSEW Awards on the topic of youth participation, their path towards sustainability, career skills needed to embark into the energy transition. So we have our Slido with us. You can connect to EUSEW2021 with a hashtag or scan the QR code. So to be able to ask questions, we're going to have about 10 minutes to have an extra discussion with Philip and with Merve. And first of all, before we launch into the discussion, I would like to launch and to show you a very short video about the three finalists of the Youth Energy Trailblazer category at the EUSEW Awards, to get to know their projects a little bit, to get to understand what they have been working on and what has been their path towards sustainability. So if we can have the video, please.
It's extra important to make more informed choices regarding our energy purchases and energy choice. The eco-label basically wants to encourage consumers to take action. So we guide consumers towards choosing renewable energy, and also renewable energy that is produced sustainably and also brings additional benefits.
Merve is just so dedicated and energetic in this field. She really advocates strongly for buying renewable energy, and she helps people know how to do it and how to do it effectively to support the energy transition.
Energy Shift is a startup company that enables citizens to jointly invest and co-own solar parks, thus democratizing the energy sector and enabling citizens to actively participate in the energy transition to renewable energy. And they earn income while doing good in the same time. When we used impact forecasting tools, they showed us that we create 200,000 euros worth of impact in societies per megawatt installed. That's a whole lot of impact for a small investment, if you ask me.
EasyHydro's hydropower turbines is the first ever hydropower turbine inside an operating mine in the world. The technology developed helped in making the mining sector more environmentally sustainable. This particular hydropower turbine recovers energy from pipe networks. This hydropower turbine is expected to generate 200 megawatt hour per year, which is the equivalent electricity consumption of about 50 households. Our customers are mining companies who wish to make their operations greener and to consume less electricity.
All right, so we just got to know a little bit who are the three winners and three finalists and what were their projects about. So now let's kick off with the discussion. I'm delighted to start by asking perhaps a few questions about yourselves and your path into sustainability. So if you could quickly introduce yourselves. Shall we start perhaps with you, Merve?
Yes, sure. Thanks, Anna. I'm Merve Güngör. And unlike Philip, I don't have a technical background, but I have been mainly focusing on communication-related activities. And what really excites me is that bringing different stakeholders together, because when we talk about dialogue, we're talking about several parties. But like also many of the hackathon projects raised, there is not that much information. And the dialogue doesn't always flow that easily because a lot of the concepts are very difficult for normal people like all of us to understand or communicate about. So I see communications as a very important point, and that has been that's what I have been focusing on, basically.
Thank you very much. How about yourself, Philip?
Well, I was always interested in renewable energy and environments since I can remember. I remember vividly just reading, learning about renewable energy from a young age and wanting to put even solar panels on the roof of my house. But at that point, they were really not unaffordable. It was pretty complicated with the procedures and regulations on putting your solar panels on the roof of your house. Things have changed in the last few years, but I wanted to do it 8 to 10 years ago. So it was a pretty complicated procedure, and I'm glad that we are moving forward as a society in a way. Mm-hmm. And looking also at the pitches and the event, I just remember all of the pitches that I had and the 3 and 4 minutes deadlines where I didn't have the chance to actually show the whole concept of energy shift and my solution, but hopefully I was able to also win this prize, and the other participants also had the chance to actually show what they are working on.
Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit more about what led you to embark into these initiatives. Did you perhaps have, I don't know, kind of an aha moment that led you to create these projects and get into these initiatives? I don't know, maybe Philip, you'd like to go first?
Sure. So, as I mentioned, I also wanted to put solar panels on the roof of my parents' house, but I also participated in many events, conferences, and I read a lot about renewable energy. And then I came basically to the conclusion that there should be more funding for it. For example, UN says that we need $1 trillion of investment each year to actually meet the targets that we set. But we are really lacking to meet the goal because we are at 30 to 40% of the investments needed to actually reach our goals. So there's much more funding needed for this. And I also wanted it to be more easy to enable citizens to easily invest in renewable energy, as I had problems putting even solar panels on the roof of my house.
Thank you, Philip. And how about you, Merve? What led you to embark into this journey in the energy transition and take an active role in it?
Well, honestly speaking, I don't think you need a huge aha moment or a big radical shift to do something about energy transition or think about renewable energy, because renewable energy is becoming the new norm. Yes, it is going a bit slower than what we expect, but we are still getting there, I believe. And what basically made me join more directed communication activities, let's say promoting the use of renewable energy, was my participation in European Solidarity Corps program. It's an EU program, and it used to be called European Voluntary Service when I joined that, and I was actually a volunteer at the same organization. And that made me realize how important it is to basically connect the dots when it comes to renewable energy communication, because it is possible, it is viable, and there are functional systems technologies available. We just need to make it more known. And I could really see my small contribution in the whole big picture, and that's what really guided me towards doing this as my job, basically.
Mm-hmm. Merve, if I could stay with you for a moment, because your project deals, the eco-label deals both in the renewable energy sphere and also energy efficiency, which are two of these pillars that we're looking into here at the Sustainable Energy Week. And I would like to ask you, which challenges have you encountered in bringing citizens and bringing your target audience on board and perhaps communicating your project?
Oh, well, there are always challenges, but I would say the secret is not to focus on challenges that much, but to highlight the positive examples. Because if we think about reaching one high ideal and wait for it, we never get there. So basically, every small step contributes to this whole big solution. Because if we wait for the right solution to come, it never comes. So actually, a lot of initiatives, like either led by youth or already existing in the current market structure, we need to make use of everything to get where we want to get to. Because we are in the climate decade right now, we don't have the time to, think anymore, because all the studies are done, all the data is there. We don't really need any further convincing, if you ask me. The convincing, compelling reasons are already there. So we just really need to see our role in it and see how we can participate in it. So what we do at the EcoEnergy Eco-Label is that we help consumers to have extra, additional positive impact. Renewable energy is already good, but actually you can even do more. You can go the extra mile. And how we define it is environmental sustainability. So EcoEnergy has sustainability criteria, and we are a market-based eco-label. So we function in the existing market structure. We don't reinvent the wheel, and we want to make it easy for very small consumers. The eco-label is available for even households, but also the large multinationals, because at the end of the day, they are the ones who are going to make the biggest impact by changing their ways, let's say, by using more renewables and choosing the renewables to be more, which are more environmentally sustainable.
Mm-hmm. Thanks a lot. I would like to ask a similar question to Philip. How hard it is for you to sometimes communicate on renewable energy sources? I mean, we've seen a number of regions where opposition to certain renewables deployment has been growing. Is that a situation that you have encountered yourself? How are you bringing citizens on board with your initiatives?
Yes. First of all, there's many misconceptions about sustainable energy, and it also depends from a person to person and how the country is actually implementing this in the education and the curriculum. And there's also a lot of misconceptions about how solar panels are made, how wind turbines are, what happens in all of the cases, which are the most frequent questions that we get. There's also general public is really not familiar with sustainable energy, because the sustainable energy transitions has not even passed a decade since we started with the sustainable energy, promoting renewable energy as well. So there is still a lot of time and effort that needs to put in educating actually the general public. Regarding energy shift, we are creating tools, educational tools to learn about sustainable energy, such as free energy course or free ebooks that they can download. And we also write blog posts on renewable energy, and a lot of the questions that we get, we turn into articles to actually just send a link to people when they ask the similar question.
If I could maybe follow up with Merve on Philip what just mentioned, because he introduced a very important topic, that of education. Which role do you see in terms of educational institutions on promoting youth participation, and how can we improve you think the current system to enable youth empowerment?
Well, if we look at the situation we ended up today, and I'm talking about the climate crisis we are in, so far educational institutions haven't done a good job, if we need to admit. But I am very hopeful. Usually I'm not a very optimistic person, but I'm very hopeful because even though the educational institutions don't make any changes or any, take any particular step, the young people nowadays, we are very aware. So we don't need really educational institutions to explain any concepts to us. And we have Greta Thunberg, for example. She has, all the numbers when she speaks, and she puts all the compelling reasons on the table, and she says, let's take action. So I would really say educational institutions, of course, there are many also programs at universities being open about sustainability, which were non-existent if you look back like maybe 10 years ago. But the young people nowadays are really bringing the change with them. It's not about, expecting some institution to, educate us anymore, because social media is very important. And we also saw in the pictures of the hackathon projects that there are, with an app you can track your carbon footprint, and the social media is very strong also on this. So to be very honest, I would say educational institutes, I don't think they play a very big role in supporting the real action, because the action is taken in the field, let's say, and people like Philip and people like, many others who are supporting the actual renewable energy uptake, they are the ones in the forefront. Of course, we need the data. Of course, we need the studies, academics, think tanks. They are very well appreciated and needed. However, I see the real change being made in the field.
So you really see this bottom-up approach really in engaging young people rather than a very kind of like top-down, institutionalized and educational. Philip, perhaps would you like to follow up on it?
Yes, I think the main issue is basically that people cannot see all of the problems and all of the changes that basically global warming is bringing upon us. For example, we can hear about ice caps melting, but we don't see it on everyday basis. So when communicating, I think it's important to actually connect it with someone that something that a person cares about, something that is going to bring change to their daily lives. For example, if the forests are not going to be there anymore, or if they are not going to be able to take a walk in the forest, go mountain hiking the way they are currently. So it will change their life, and we need to communicate it in that way. Mm-hmm. And for us, it's also important that people know about renewable energy, because they need to know what they are investing in, and they need to know the impacts that they are bringing. They need to be familiar with the topic and basically comfortable. They will be more comfortable supporting it.
If I can follow up with you on that, because Merve before mentioned the power of social media. So I'm just wondering like how you are using social media in your daily life to communicate your project, communicate your initiatives, and this belief in the energy transition and the role that young people can take.
Well, similar to Merve, I've also been, for the last 12 months, I've been a part of European Solidarity Corps. I've been volunteering in Cyprus to increase with the goal to increase awareness on the SDGs in Cyprus, because Cyprus is one of the least performing countries in Europe, according to all of the SDG metrics. So we created different infographics related to Cyprus, because Cyprus is importing more than 90%. It's creating 90% of their energy from fossil fuels, and they're importing most of it. So messaging, basically, we used social media mostly because it was Corona times and we couldn't have that many events. We also had a radio show as well. So we were using social media with different messages. People responded differently, and I guess it's like just based on the people, like older people, they are suspect, like they are engaged on different topics, versus young people that they are engaged more in plastics and recycling, and renewable energy, versus the older people that are more engaged with tree plantings. And when we mention basically the future of their children, then they start to think about it and take more action as well.
Thank you very much. So you both have taken part in the European Solidarity Corps. It's just about 5 years old, this youth exchange program in the EU. So I would like to ask you both, how would you encourage, why do you think more young people should be participating in this kind of European projects and youth exchanges? Merve, would you like to start?
Yes, sure. It's indeed a good coincidence that both Philip and I have been European Solidarity Corps volunteers. And one of the projects mentioned in their pitches that we are actually all interconnected. So especially Europe is one single market in terms of electricity. And we are basically able to communicate. Even right now, I'm joining from Helsinki. Philip is joining from Cyprus. You are in Brussels. So this is exactly the connection. I mean, it's the same idea that European Solidarity Corps promotes as well. It is, and there are, for example, right now we have volunteers who are right out of high school. In my case, I already had my master's degree when I joined, so I was a bit older in age. But regardless of age or your country of origin, I'm originally from Turkey, for example. I wasn't born in the EU, but it basically connects very different people from different walks of life and contribute to one goal. Of course, the goal for European Solidarity Corps is the idea of solidarity, the idea of contributing, giving back to society, but also the individual projects. They have their common goals, and when you see yourself working with many others towards the same goal, it's a very good feeling, I would say. So even impact, I think, comes the second, because you don't necessarily do it to get, X amount of impact. Of course, it's wonderful if you get, but it's basically the idea that, hey, wait a minute, I can contribute to something bigger than me happening. And that idea of being a small puzzle piece in a large picture, I would really say that European Solidarity Corps is about that, at least to me.
This is really interesting because you get to bring the point of view from your home country, home region, back to another country, and then take back something that you've learned from the country that has hosted you back to your own community. So that's really interesting. Philip, how about yourself? What are this? What would you encourage young people to participate in this kind of European exchanges?
Well, I would like to encourage them to experience volunteering. And when we mention volunteering, you usually think about, okay, I'm doing all of this work for free. But European Union has enabled us through this program that we basically can go to another country, have pocket money from the European Union, have an accommodation, insurance covered by European Union, and actually try to volunteer, understand new cultures, meet different people, get new perspectives, and also bring, as you mentioned, bring them back to your country, to your community, and basically connect in that way.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. And that relates to one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, because in fact, one of the topics that our participants at the hackathon were able to be working on is to build partnerships. So how are you doing that in your everyday life? So building partnerships across local communities, institutional actors, and national, regional levels. Could you tell us a bit more, how you are facilitating these dialogues?
Yeah, maybe I can begin. Mm-hmm. So about that is basically your question is really the core of my day-to-day work. Even though we don't really focus on a local level, we do it at an international level and usually at an EU level, at a regional level. Because when you think about consumers, like I mentioned, when we say consumers, at our homes, we are household consumers. When we turn on the switch, we get electricity, though many of us don't really think where it comes from or what, attributes it has. And also it's the same for a commercial user. You can have a maybe small shop, small workshop, or, you are working for a large company, but you get your energy somewhere, somehow. And, it's interesting that we usually pay attention to the concrete ingredients. Like if you are cooking, you know what ingredients you're using. But since energy is very abstract, that's an ingredient often ignored. We don't often pay attention to it. However, it's a very important ingredient in almost all the products and services we use. So it makes a really, really big impact, actually. And we support consumer information. And we believe this really empowers the consumers. And of course, when you empower the consumers, you also need the parties to provide for their more sophisticated needs. So if you are hungry, you would just go and say, I want food. But if you have more sophisticated tastes, you would ask for a certain type of food with a certain type of sauce. So that is what's happening in the energy market as well, especially commercial consumers. And also, like one of the projects in the hackathon pitches pointed out, young people, middle class, they are also having more specifics in their, consumption patterns. They are asking for more. So it's not that easy to please us millennials anymore. We really have very specific requests in terms of sustainability. So when we empower consumers by offering them a tool, the eco-label, that makes it easy for them to identify environmentally sustainable renewable energy, which also helps them to communicate by using the logo, which is what you see behind me on the flag. And this means we also need to convey the same idea to the sellers, to the suppliers, because we believe this is how we make a change in the sector, not a top-down approach, but because there is demand, of course there will be market players who will meet that demand. They will do their best to support it. And this means people are having more specific requests regarding their renewable energy use. They want it local, some want solar, some want wind. We don't have a specific point on that. And they want it to be produced sustainably. And they ask, so what's more? What does it what impact, extra impact can I make? And EcoEnergy Eco-Label finances new clean energy projects in developing countries. And these projects really help change people's lives, because in off-grid remote villages, people don't have the reliable electricity connection, which we often take for granted. We just turn on the switch and electricity comes. But once you have reliable, clean electricity access, it makes a big impact on your life, from income generating opportunities to better quality education to better healthcare system. So it basically transforms all dimensions of life. And speaking of SDGs, all SDGs are really interconnected. So when you talk about SDG 13, climate action, SDG 7, affordable clean energy access, it links to basically all the other SDGs. So energy is really the abstract component, I would say, in achieving all different SDGs. And by bringing, different parties in the market together, consumers, sellers, sometimes regulators, because not everywhere in the world the local authorities are knowledgeable about these, improving demands from the consumers. In such a dynamic and changing market, it's very important to foster further dialogue.
Thanks a lot, Merve. I mean, Philip, how has this process of establishing partnerships also relate to you? How are you doing that? Did you relate to what Merve has also just explained?
Yeah, first of all, great analogy with cooking and electricity mix. I also believe that consumers vote with their money, so they can choose to buy sustainably produced products, or they can choose to buy less, sometimes cheaper, sometimes worse for the environment, less sustainably produced products. So at the forefront of any change, there's a consumer. When the consumer starts demanding a more sustainable product, that's when the system starts changing. Making partnerships is about talking to people. All of these big companies are made of people, and people are similar to us. We have similar demands, we have similar goals, and with the current SDGs, for example, I would also agree that they are interconnected. So we just need to connect with people. We have this similar vision, we have the same goal to actually achieve them by 2030 and net zero by 2050. So we need to work on them and collaborate on them, and collaboration is basically how we can achieve them faster. And it's also one of the goals as well.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about some of the barriers that perhaps make projects struggle to take off. I mean, one of them, and a very important one, is financing. So could I ask you a little bit, how have you been managing that? Is it something that you have struggled to bring also kind of more like investors and financial partners on board in this sense? Because we have a few projects that have just been presented, and I think many of them would want to bring their initiatives forward. So how can we help them take off from this point of view? Perhaps Merve, you'd like to go first?
I can. In the beginning stages, of course, you have the birth pains, let's say, because when you have a new idea, most of the investors would like to see certain impact or already, existing impact. And in terms of the eco-energy eco-label, we started as a very small initiative in Finland, very local. And eventually we grew. And at that time, it wasn't necessarily the idea to have an international eco-label. So, and eco-energy's financing works, actually, this also connects to what Philip has just mentioned, putting money where your mouth is, because a lot of people talk about sustainability and environmental impact, but when you put an idea in front of them, we are a non-profit initiative, so it is, I would say, not a huge undertake in terms of cost to add the eco-energy eco-label to your renewable energy purchase. But when you put the idea in front of them, people often hesitate. And especially for larger companies, it can take them quite some time to actually make a decision. And that is indeed something, there is not one, easy, simple solution. But yeah, so for eco-energy eco-label, the sellers transfer eco-energy 18 cents, 18 euro cents per megawatt hour of eco-energy labeled sales. And with the 10 cents from these 18 cents, we finance these new clean energy projects. And the 8 cents come to our secretariat. So it means we need to multitask and do several different, tasks and roles. But this is basically how you grow. So in the beginning, it may not always be that easy, let's say. But after you prove your idea and after you can present some concrete impact, then it gets easier and easier. But yeah, it may not be as fast as many would imagine, I would say.
And what do you think, Philip?
I think that there is too much regulations at this point because speaking from my experience, we are in the renewable energy industry, in the energy industry, we are in the finance industry, and both of these industries are really, and sectors, they are really regulated. So, for example, receiving money from investors, from ordinary citizens is regulated. Each EU country, up until now, up until this year, they have a different regulations on getting money from investors. You have to get licensed by their national financial authorities, going to another EU country to receive from even few investors money. Like, I'm not talking about investments in the company, but I'm talking about investments in the projects from ordinary citizens. It's really complicated. And some of the countries don't even have this law, and you're not even regulated. They don't have it. You cannot even register a company that does this. So we had problems trying to find a country that would actually support what we are trying to do, because in Croatia, it was hard even finding investors in our company because we don't have developed venture capital funds ecosystem. We only have 2 venture funds that came up recently, but we don't have this tax system like the UK, for example, where when you invest in a startup, you can get tax reductions and tax deductions up to 60% of your investment. So you're actually making a risky investment and you have a benefit to do so. In Croatia, it's really burdensome. There are not a lot of investors willing to risk their money, invest in new projects and new startups. And also there's a lot of regulations in this industry, which is also making it burdensome to actually get to the market quickly and make a huge impact.
Great, thank you very much. I'm sure the participants are taking very, very good note of these pieces of advice. If I could ask you perhaps for a couple more nuggets of advice for our members at the hackathon. I would like to ask you a little bit about the skill sets. Like, which skill sets do you need or do you believe that you need to embark on energy transition initiatives and projects of this kind? I mean, I understood that none of you, in fact, has an engineering background necessarily. So do you think it's more about the soft skills rather than perhaps the very hard skills that you could find in higher education institutions? Philip, maybe you can take up this time?
I think it's more about the problem-solving skills, being stubborn, because sometimes things don't work out the way you want them, and you need to be stubborn and just push forward, because there is, in entrepreneurship, there is this cycle of just going up and down, and all of this, you get one step forward, 2 steps back, and it's just going back and forth. You have to be stubborn, you have to really push forward. Of course, I have a political science background, so I went on a Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurship in Ukraine. I was working in a solar installation company where I basically learned how you can connect solar panels, how you can calculate the costs, how it all works. So again, European Union also enabled me to learn more, to get more skills and expertise in the field, and also to be able to run my company in a better way.
That's very interesting. It's being stubborn and really being resilient, because these ups and downs, I mean, I think each entrepreneur and all of us throughout our careers are going to find it. So we need to really believe, I think, in our projects. How about yourself, Merve? Like, which soft skills do you think that young entrepreneurs in the energy and climate transition need?
Yeah, that's a good question, because when you say an entrepreneur, a lot of people would think doing things alone, maybe, but I really think then you either need to be a generalist, so you don't only have hard skills or soft skills, you are either a generalist or you are good at teamwork, because at some point, and hopefully at some point, because if your startup is successful, you are going to have more people working with you, teamwork would be very important, because you can do things alone or with only 2 people, 3 people, but how long, At one point, you really need people on your side. So it again boils down to communication and people skills, because like Philip said, when you think of a large company, it's made up of people, individual people. So you need to speak to people at some point, even though if you have an engineering background or XYZ background. So I would say, teamwork and people skills are crucial.
Thanks a lot. And maybe related to that, because we will soon be turning to some questions in Slido, but I would like to ask you first, you have listened to the pitches. So which piece of advice would you like to give our team members, our participants at the hackathon, our 7 teams that I'm sure will want to continue embarking in this entrepreneurship journey?
First, I think check regulations and laws in your country and in different countries, because I think this is the most essential thing. Mm-hmm. Going into my company, I didn't even know how many regulations are there in the field and how burdensome it is to overcome them as well. And another piece of advice would be to actually explore communities that are already existing that you can benefit from and you can contribute to. For example, I've been in the climate kick communities. I've been an alumni of different organizations. I've been part of, for example, SDG 7 youth constituency. So there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of connections, because this is basically a really small group of people that is making a change in this sector, and it should be a bigger community.
Thank you very much, Philip. Merve, which advice would you give our participants?
Well, it's difficult for me to give an advice, because I think almost all the pitches were quite good and they had taken, many different dimensions, aspects into account. So please don't take this as an authoritarian advice. But I would say it's maybe when it comes to sustainability tips and suggestions, I think there are just too many of them around. And when you hear so many tips, like do this, don't do that, like you can be really paralyzed and confused. So what do I need to do in the end, So I think it's more important to highlight the alternatives. So instead of saying don't do this, do more of this. And there were some of the pitches where you can get points, based on your actions. And so I think that's a good idea. But especially since I work for an NGO, in the NGO field, I really see there is so much negative talk about what's wrong to do, and like this pointing finger, you are doing it wrong, you are doing it not good enough, not efficient enough. So I really think that highlighting positive actions is really the way to go, because if at the end of the day it's us individuals who are kind of overwhelmed by the sustainable actions we are supposed to take, but of course, we can do only so much in our days, and how do we adapt? So I would say instead of that, it should be more about highlighting the, positive impact and positive actions instead.
Thank you very much to the two of you for these words of inspiration. Now I would like to turn to some questions we have been getting from our viewers on Slido. And we have the first question, which is for Philip, on how could we help citizens from Mediterranean countries to invest more in solar panels as they are expensive? Philip, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's why I started Energy Shift. Basically, people that want to save money, they put the money in a bank. In a bank, currently, you don't get paid any interest. So in Germany, in Denmark, you have to pay the bank to actually hold your money. And instead of this, you can invest, if you have a disposable income, you could invest in projects, in solar energy projects, in different renewable energy projects around Europe or around the world, and actually get passive income and save money long term. And on the other side, there's also the Mediterranean countries that could benefit from the investments, and they could get clean energy, which would long-term stabilize their price for energy, meaning that they would pay a fixed price for a long term, and we could not see these price increases just because the price of gas is going up or the price of oil is going up like we do now. For example, in Cyprus, the electricity price went up 40% just because it comes mostly from fossil fuels. So when the price of fossil fuels goes up, so does the electricity price. But with solar panels, it has a fixed amount throughout the years for a long time. And they're becoming more cheaper and cheaper.
Thank you very much for your answer, Philip. The next question is for Merve. It's from Anonymous. How do you work to counter discriminatory effects on your eco-label in countries where some common international understanding is missing?
That's an interesting question about discriminatory effects. So first of all, when we work for the eco-label, of course, I promote the eco-label, but in especially countries where the market hasn't developed yet, most of my work is about market development, about encouraging market development. And I remember speaking in countries like China or Turkey, like 5 years ago, when I spoke about this current existing market tools, people were looking at me like as if I have just made them up. But this, is how it works internationally. At least like it existed in the EU for the last decade or something. But even in the EU, the picture is not, all, roses and easy, beautiful. It's not the case either in the EU. Of course, the system is far from ideal, but it's at least functional and growing. So when you introduce a new concept to people, there is always maybe some resistance, I would say. But then again, like I mentioned previously, it boils down to giving concrete examples, concrete impact. And that's why actually we also started the eco-label, because once you are in especially Western world and you have a financial transaction with your electricity supplier and that's it. But we wanted to add this other dimension of contributing to something good happening elsewhere where it is needed much more, because when you don't have, reliable electricity connection in the first place, it makes a, huge impact and it can basically transform your lives. So it's all about repetition also. Maybe I can give, this can also serve as an advice to the hackathon projects. I used to think that if you have a good idea, good project, people will like it or they will understand it, they will make efforts. But that is actually not the case. No matter how good the idea is, no matter how big the impact is, you have to repeat, and sometimes shamelessly, I might say. This is not the time to be shy or embarrassed or be humble. Of course, you should be honest, but you shouldn't shy away from repeating and like being stubborn, basically, what Philip also mentioned. You should really be stubborn and you should just keep repeating, even though, you know, yeah, like people have heard it a few times. You know, when you repeat it the fourth time, they're like, well, actually, it's a good idea. And you would wonder, like, why? What were you thinking the first 3 times I told you the same thing? But that's how we humans work.
Then we have a follow-up question for you, Merve, if you could stay with us for a moment. How big is the team of EcoLabel and how many volunteers help? Could you tell us a little bit more about the team behind your project?
Yeah, sure. So annually, we have about 6 to 9 volunteers coming through the European Solidarity Corps project. And before Corona times, we used to have some trainees too, usually 1 or 2 per year. And many of them come through Erasmus placements. So usually it's part of their studies. And actually right now we have only 1 trainee who is from Finland. But yeah, we haven't had like international trainees in the like past 2 years. And we have, right now we have 6 volunteers from 6 different countries. And our team, like employees, it's me and Steven Van Holme, our program manager. So it's 2 of us employees and 6 volunteers at the moment.
Thank you. Perhaps, Philip, could you tell us also a little bit more about the team behind at Energy Shift?
Yes, so we started a few years ago, my friend and me, from a garage, not from a garage, but from an apartment next to the garage. So it was like one of these Silicon Valley stories where you start a company from a garage like Google, like Microsoft. And since then it grew. Mostly right now we work with freelancers because there is a need for funding for our company, but we have been working with limited funds. So right now we work with freelancers and when we need them, like on a case-by-case basis. We had several inquiries to be volunteers. I also wanted to participate right now as a host entrepreneur in the Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs to get people and to actually be able to train them and teach them something that I've learned throughout the years. And that's kind of, that will kind of be like more in the future. But right now we are like a small team of several people working with freelancers because there's a limited funding.
We have another question for you, Philip, this time from Jan Demidovic-Mekalainen, DigiGrow trainee. How realistic is a 12 to 15% return on solar panel investments?
Well, currently solar panels are basically they're affordable. Depends on the country also. So in Cyprus, the return on the investments is much bigger, of 20 to 25%. So when you invest 10,000 euros in a solar panels, you can get it return on your investments in 4 to 5 years. In Ukraine, where I worked on solar installation plants and installing solar panels, the return is 25%. Just because they have a green incentive, green tariff for renewable energy, which is 4 times higher than the market price there. But in Cyprus, is the same price for energy as it is in the. It's a bit lower, but it's almost the same price without any incentives. So it also depends on the country. It depends on the amount of sun that they receive. For example, in Cyprus, they have 340 sunny days, while in Croatia we have 220. And in Slovenia, I presume you're from Slovenia, it's also around 220 to 240 days. So it also depends on the price of energy in your country, plus the amount of sun that you get.
Thank you very much, Philip. We're running out of time, and even if we got many more questions coming up on Slido, but we need to proceed to announce the winners of the hackathon. So thank you very much. Before leaving, thanks a lot to Merve and Philip for joining us in this European Youth Energy Day. wish you all the best with your upcoming projects. And yeah, I'm delighted now to have here with us on board with Energy Commissioner Kadri Simpson. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
What would you tell our participants before kicking off the ceremony awards?
Well, indeed, we are all very excited who are the lucky winners, but before that, I would like to say a couple of words to dear hackers and ladies and gentlemen. So it's a real pleasure to be speaking with you today. First of all, I want to say a big thank you to each and every person who took part over the past 48 hours. And if the rumors are true, you have come up with an extremely impressive group of ideas. Before we are giving out the awards, let me tell you about why this hackathon and why the premise is so significant. First, youth. We assume incorrectly that those who are older are automatically more knowledgeable. And this is simply not true. Your youth makes you unique. You are digital natives, not analog evangelists. And that distinctive trait means that you will see the world in a certain way and bring new ideas to the table. And that's exactly how we all learn from each other. That's one of the reasons why it's so important to give younger people like you the chance to develop and share your concepts. But it's not only the one. It's also important because the clean energy transition is about extending our empathy to generations of the future. Shaping a safer world for the people who will be around to see what is going to happen with our planet in the end of the century. That means exactly you. And we do this work not only with you, but for you. Your ideas will go directly towards shaping your world of tomorrow. Second is time. It's a luxury that we don't have so much of these days when it comes to our climate. For this hackathon, you had 48 hours to come up with strong pragmatic solutions. It is a race against time, a microcosm of what we are facing for the energy transition. But the fact that you persisted and succeeded gives me hope that even in spite of the urgency, if we come together, focus on a common goal and put our best minds to the challenge, success is possible. And third, I want to talk about communication. I have learned in the past 2 years as commissioner and during my previous life as politician that there are not so many challenges that we cannot overcome through better communication. And that's the same for the energy transition. We are not where we were 50 years ago. People's awareness of changing climate is as high as ever, and decarbonization is not a mystery. The what and the why are there, but now we are missing the how, and how to communicate about the challenge and the solutions too. Again, that's why your pitches are so important. And I hope that the past 48 hours have made it even more clear to you that the energy transition is for everyone, young and elderly. Everyone has a seat at the table. Before I announce the winners, one final thing. The outcome today is not win and lose. This is win and learn. Regardless of the names that I am about to announce, I want to remind every single one of you that the bigger picture of climate change will not be solved by the few, but by the many who show up and use their skills to push that change. So without further delay, Pierre, as a jury chairperson, let's start announcing the winners.
Please.
So this is an envelope which consists the name of the third place, and team who won bronze medal is Innonel. Congratulations.
Congratulations to the INNONEL team for winning the 3rd place at the first ever European Youth Energy Communications Hackathon. Can we have the team? There we have them. Congratulations. How are you feeling, INNONEL?
You are muted.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We're all really excited. Thank you for the opportunity and for the reward. We will definitely make use of it to keep working on these and to make everyone be part of this energy transition. Thank you very much.
Thanks to you. Now we can proceed to announce the 2nd place. Pierre, if you may hand it the envelope.
Yes, 2nd golden envelope goes to team called Enerlog. Congratulations.
Enerlog team, congratulations. How are you feeling?
Thank you very much. Very excited, very positive. Thank you for this perfect opportunity to have our voice, and I would like to encourage everyone to use your voice, not only talk about the urgency of the topic, but also participate in the public participation. Vote on this project, be active. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Congrats again and well done. Now we're moving to the winner of this first ever European Youth Energy Communications Hackathon. This is the most anticipated envelope of them all, and we're just seeing how is it being handed.
So our first ever winner is team whose name is Grid Society.
Congratulations to the Grid Society.
Congratulations.
Oh my God, thank you very much.
Here we are, well done, Grid Society. How are you feeling after having won the award to the best project in this first ever European Youth Energy Communications Hackathon?
I didn't expect that, and as a team, because this is a team effort. It's me, Jitin, Jomi, and Yash Yadav, 3 people. Oh my God, I didn't believe it. And I hope we do our best. And also I hope all the teams participating here, create our ideas and create our startup ideas, or what is the case, apps, website, NGOs, so as to make more sustainable future and change it.
Well, congrats once again. And now we will be able to have a short group picture with all the winners. I mean, this time, because of still the circumstances that we are at the moment, is going to be an online picture. But first of all, let me just remind you a little bit like what these three finalists and the winner in question have gotten, because they will be able to be sitting here with us at the EU Sustainable Energy Week 2022. So the 3 projects will be getting some project money to be delivering their ideas into reality. They'll be able to spend it in training, in communication materials, in different kinds of investment to move their projects forward. Secondly, and very important, they will be able to take place into a mentorship program with the European Youth Energy Network, one of our partners in the organization of the European Youth Energy Communications Hackathon. So they'll be able to continue getting tips and getting advice. Already for the past 48 hours, they were able to work hand in hand with some great mentors that help them put these ideas forward, and they will be continuing to have this guidance with the support of the European Youth Energy Network. And then moving to next year, 2022, the next European Sustainable Energy Week, they will be able to participate in a dialogue with Commissioner Simpson in the next EUSEW, and they will be able to bring like one of the members of the respective teams on board at the EUSEW2022 with the travel and accommodation expenses covered to present their project in a communication session. So congratulations to all once again. And if we could now have all the 3 winners for our group picture with the Commissioner. So smile, say cheese. And congratulations once again to all of you. And congratulations also, thank you very much to the jury and the mentors that have been involved. And if I may even like bring the jury for a second, for just a couple of follow-up questions to like understand a little bit like how this process has been. How hard it was to bring the jury to deliberate on the projects.
It was, we had a tough discussion. As we said before, the presentations were very good. Even I have to say that actually the presentations were that good that some of the evaluations and some of the marks changed after the presentations. So these presentations did make sense and were important for the final result. I want to thank everybody that, of course, participated. They were, the fact that we had tough discussions is a testimony to the quality of the project, and also we are very keen to see how we also can learn from that in the Commission, in the communication unit, to test a bit the concepts that have been put forward.
Federico, what has perhaps surprised you the most from
I can only share Pierre's analysis, and really surprised me most the way all the winning projects really were willing to interact with the citizens, because I think now we are we are at the end of the pandemic, and people really want to discuss, really want to be present, really want to interact with the municipalities. So we really need to promote the local projects. We need to give the opportunity for citizens to talk about energy efficiency, about renewable energy, because I think the most important thing is to educate citizens. And so this is my main message. And again, we look forward to welcoming all the 3 winning projects in our mentorship program. But of course, this is just the beginning. We want really to push all the local projects, all the local youth organizations, and we really want to bring all of them together and to contribute to the energy transition and to the discussion and to the policymaking discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pierre, Federico, and also Ugo, Agnieszka, and Stefan that have been part of the deliberation, even if online. Hopefully next year we will be able to meet all of us together in person. So last but not least, in order to wrap up our European Youth Energy Day, we couldn't say goodbye without thanking like one of the organizations that have helped us make it happen, and we got from whom we've got support throughout the entire 48-hour European Youth Energy Communications Hackathon. In this case, is the European Youth Energy Network. And I'm delighted to introduce Miguel Musca to give a little bit of, wrapping up and impressions of how this European Youth Energy Day has gone. So, Miguel, if I could ask you, how can young people now stay engaged and continue participating actively in the energy transition, and why this is so important in the first place?
Thank you, Hannah. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you, with the teams. First, let me thank, on behalf of the European Youth Energy Network, IAN, for the opportunity to co-organize, to participate, and to be in this journey with all of you until today. Then, let me congratulate the winning teams that just were announced here before, and to say that our doors are open for any future engagement with all of them. All of the teams should be congratulated too, because this is a joint effort, and as it was mentioned by the Commissioner Kadri, it's not about win and lose, it's about win and learn. Lastly, let me congratulate too the Youth Energy Trailblazer winners. Also very distinguished projects from old faces that also we know, so it's very, very good to see the projects that we have seen in the past growing and growing even more to a better impact. Now, coming to Anna's question, firstly, I'll say why actually youth are important. Now, we are here today, it was mentioned already by Pierre that we are, or we were all youth someday. So we have to understand that we cannot jump steps. Youth is a part of life, and it's a very important one. Young people are eager, are risk takers, and are innovative. So we can see that the young people of today will be taking the leadership positions in the future in big companies, in corporates, in the Commission, in local associations. They're going to build families, And this is very important on the build of our society with the good core values, which is our today sustainability and getting the core of the renewable energy. Furthermore, how can actually we get engaged in this field? Is it not that hard as one may think? Being engaged in the energy field as a young person, as youth, there are many, many programs that we can take. For example, we can be curious, we can educate ourselves by universities, by educational programs. Of course, as European Youth Energy Network, we welcome you to engage with us, to get in our projects, to work with us, to talk with our members and partners. Furthermore, you can also engage with the European Commission, which has programs such as the Climate Pact Ambassadorship, the programs mentioned already by the Trailblazer winners. And also next year, we are very happy to know that's going to be the European Year of Youth. Furthermore, it's not always about engaging with a high level. You also have to come down and talk with our local part, meaning if we work in a company, get inside and push, drive the company for sustainable values. Get into our neighborhoods, into our local municipalities, engage with the politicians, talk with our neighbor and explain why it's important to have a renewable energy contract and not the cheaper one. Let's say that small actions, not just taking off and on our light bulb, but really communicate and teach are very important. A few words to finish is that we as youth are as humble as demanding. We are humble because we work hard. We are learning and we are developing our capabilities of the future, for our future of sustainable energy. Demanding because we want everyone in this society, from the young to the oldest, to also work hard and push the sustainable energy revolution. So I thank you all for today, and I really hope that next year we are here shaking this stage full of energy, renewable energy, with the next EUSEW and European Youth Energy Day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miguel, for being with us and for the ongoing support that the participants have been receiving from the European Youth Energy Network. I mean, it's very important that we have organizations of this kind, an initiative like IN, to continue promoting the participation of young people in the energy transition. If you would give if you have one wish that you would like to give the winners, like maybe for the next year, what would you like to be? If we once we meet together at EUSEW 2022, what's the one wish for them that you'd like to happen?
I think first, I'm very happy that we're going to meet, and we'll meet before for sure. The wish, I really wish that up to then, they can have the time and the support to really implement their actions. Because we all have very good intentions, very good ideas, and we will work hard, but not always pays off. So my wish is really to get there and that they can present how wonderful and what actually the big impact that they have done within this year of project.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Miguel, for being with us. And thanks of all once again, Commissioner Simpson for having been with us, the jury, Pierre, Federico, Stefan, Ugo, and Agnieszka, all the mentors that have been joining us throughout this 48 hours and provided guidance and support across the 7 teams. Our winners and all the finalists and participants at the European Youth Energy Day that have made this communications hackathon a reality. It's time to start wrapping up now. So thank you everyone once again, because this is all for us today at the European Youth Energy Day, but for our participants, the journey just began. These projects are now just taking off, and I'm sure that in 1 year's time, when we'll be able to meet here again, we'll get to see great things from the teams that have taken part in this year's hackathon. If you remember back on Monday, when we had the Director for Energy, Cristina Lovillo, here on set, she said that perhaps the European Sustainable Energy Week Awards winners of the next year might be the participants of this hackathon. So I think we can take like many words of encouragement, many words of inspiration from the different guests that have joined us on set today to continue pushing these ideas through and see great things coming from them. Also, it's very important, I think, to remember that next year will be all about youth participation here at EUSEW, precisely because next year will be the European Year of Youth. So I'm sure that we will be able to continue giving young people the floor and the space to develop these ideas and have really this interaction, really these dialogues with policymakers, with institutions, with companies, with investors across the EU. So we are really looking forward to meeting the 3 finalists here in Brussels and to talk about how we can keep this conversation going and ensuring that the voices of young people are heard in this energy transition, because again, they're crucial, they're bringing innovative and fresh ideas to the table and they must be heard. Now, without further ado, I think it's time to start wrapping up this EU Sustainable Energy Week, and I'm very happy to have back on set again Olaf. Thanks again for being with us. This is coming to an end, right? It has been quite an intense week, I believe.
No, this has really been an intense week. Let me also thank you for this amazing, I would almost have said last part of the European Sustainable Energy Week, but it is not entirely last part. There's more coming up right now. But it was really an amazing highlight of the European Sustainable Energy Week, and I think it has shown all of us how many talent there is around, how many great ideas there are around on this essential part of the energy transition, which is sometimes a little bit forgotten, which is communication, getting ideas out. And I think this is what it is what it was all about in this last hour. So Anna, really thank you, and congratulations for the winners. The envelopes are still here. The 3 projects were among the projects that have impressed me too, but there were others which were great too. So really congratulations to the winners, but also to everybody else who has been participating in this. This was really a highlight of this EUSEW 2021. Now we are slowly, very slowly moving to the end. So join us in a few minutes for the closing remarks. See you in a bit.
Thank you very much, everyone.